Okay, I'm trying to make a little progress on the garage door opener or seeing if it'll even work. So I checked the chain. Well, I found some chain. I got plenty of chain. It's the right pitch. I've got master links. I've got the T-rail. So I've got enough stuff to extend it. The guy didn't have the sensors, so I found some sensors, but I don't know if they'll be compatible. And I've got the wires stripped. The button's not hooked up. I couldn't get one of the sets of wires stripped. So let's see if I can jumper this, and it should, it's mid-travel, so I think it should at least open. I'm not sure what to think of that clicking. And it probably should just flash without the sensors in there. Yeah. But I watched a video on an old Chamberlain. See if I can get this in there. Supposedly, if you hold the button, it should work. Well, I really don't like that clunk. I am concerned about that noise. I think the gear is going. I'll have to open this up and look in there. So I'll tear into that and show you again. In the meantime, when I was doing my timing, I used my buddy's clock that he gave me. This thing is like beautifully machined. Connecting rod out of some, I didn't ask him what kind of motor it was out of. So Steve, if you see this, let us know what this came out of. I think it's only got a couple of runs on it, and then they replaced these connecting rods and pistons. But anyhow, I'll open this up, and hopefully the gear is not bad, but I think they're pretty cheap if they are, and the guy said he'd give me my money back if it didn't work, so we'll see. Okay, so I got this thing open, and I did give a listen to it. It does not sound good, but it's got another gearbox in there that you got to disassemble the whole thing to get after that. So that's a little more time, but I did find this interesting on the set screws. This far white one is the down travel, and it just physically moves the contact point. This one here is the up limit. It's got about 3/4 of an inch more that I could adjust it, so I could maybe get 10 feet out of it, which I think that's what these are designed for. And then the center one, when you run it, runs off this gear here and just physically travels till it makes contact. Gonna be all over the place, but I'm gonna try to short out this wire and run it once. Yeah, so that center one just travels. If I move this over, it would take longer to get there and travel further. But I don't like that clunk, and it made a couple really bad ones in between. I'm going to try to short this out one more time. Hard to do one-knuckled, not one-handed. One-knuckled, essentially. Yeah. Just not sure about that. I could just run it. I think I got another one of these I could dissect just to see how they work. Maybe I'll do that. All right, that's it for now, though. Go. Okay, so I didn't intend to tear this thing down this much, but one thing led to another. But I got in there. That gear is just fine. This gear is just fine. The motor ran really smooth, so there's nothing wrong with them. Oh, a little side note, if anybody ever watches this that knows what this is, because I'm just curious. I don't know what this sensor on the end of the motor would do. I'm more just curious. I don't even have a guess right now. There was... Oh, and then the rattle that I was concerned about was just the chain in the sprocket. Binding up a little bit. I don't know if it needed adjusting, but nothing in the head unit here. So I am going to attempt to put this back together. I'm not sure I can do it by myself. I did not intend to take it apart this far. I just wanted to check a couple things, so I am going to jump over to the other bench and see how far I get before I get stuck. Okay, so I managed to get the motor and the clamshell around the gearbox back in. I didn't think I'd get that clamshell in, but I did. But this screwdriver I used, a teeny tiny plastic pin right there. I managed to get this screwdriver wedged in and push that pin down. And then I had to use the C-clamp to try to get the clamshell snapped. It closed really easy. That keeper there, I could not get snapped in. So I had to wedge this board in there, and then I had that other bigger screwdriver, and finally I pried up there. And I got that in. And the screws were pretty easy to get the motor mounted. So next is this little gear, and then start plugging in wires. Okay, I'm working on the T-rail for the opener. I decided to go ahead and extend it 4 feet. The opener will go up to 8 feet. But the door, 10 feet. It's a 12-foot door, but if I disconnect it with the 2 extra feet, then I can just slide the door open. Full 12 foot if ever needed. So I went ahead and did that. It was a little annoying. Okay, a lot annoying trying to get these T-rails cleaned up, but I think I got it aligned and beveled pretty good. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna throw you in the vise so you can see a few sparks and see if I can get this tacked together and not warp it too bad. got it tacked. I guess I'm just gonna weld it, see what happens. Blew her out there a bit. So I'm not a welder at all. I don't know where I came up with the theory, but I know I didn't get this perfectly clean with grease and paint. I did my best. So somebody tell me if it's the right thought or not, but I'm running it a little hotter than I think I should in the hopes that it'll burn through that crap, or am I just making stuff up? that might be a fail. I might have to start over. It's really crooked. It's really nice height-wise, but I should have paid more attention to keeping it aligned this way. It's got a pretty good elbow to it. Bummer. GoPro, stop recording. So I managed to actually get this thing back together, and it wasn't that bad to do. And then my neighbor came over at work here and stripped the wires for me. That's one thing I have not figured out how to do yet. Stripping and twisting wires, that's pretty frustrating. So he put my random sensors together for me and hooked up the push button, and all is well. It works good. It's really quiet, really smooth. So it was just the chain binding up a little bit. I have no idea why, but it was. So everything works. The keyless entry is working. The push button is working. I need a battery for the remote. Hopefully that works. So I'm happy with that. Made progress. So for those that are curious, it's like, why do I bother screwing around with an old junk garage door opener? Because I like to. The video is not about trying to fix that. It's more about me trying to learn how to do stuff. And honestly, I am quite thrilled that I was able to pull that thing apart, look it all over, and get it back together on my own. A couple highlights I've shown stuff before that I use to help with things. Oh, and for those that haven't realized it, my hands don't work. I can move my wrist. I can lift about, on a good day, maybe 15 pounds with my left arm in the right position. But anyhow, so lots of tools. So stuff hits the floor all the time. Hooks to grab stuff that I can hook. Magnet on a little reacher pull. That thing is awesome. And then I got a little teeny tiny refrigerator magnet for grabbing screws. They can't be too strong, because if they're too strong, then I can't get whatever I'm picking up off of it. The hemostats for doing the wire, able to pull the wires off and put them back on with that. Cordless hammer drill. Got to be a hammer drill, because I can't hold it on a traditional drill, because the torque would just twist it out of my hand. And don't know if I can do this right-handed. That's my not so good hand. And for changing bits, I'm not going to lock it in there because I need two hands. I made this little rack that I can slide that on, and then I slide this over to pull them out, or lock it to pull them off the drill. What else do I got laying here? The handle off slide hammer. Again, this is my not so good hand. That gets me by a little bit. At least I can tap stuff. Yeah, that hand doesn't cooperate as well as the other one. And then for heavier stuff, I don't use it very often, but I got this little homemade electromagnet. That'll pick up a couple 100 pounds in the right, if you get a straight lift. But anyhow, a couple highlights. I'm glad I got this together. Hopefully, I probably won't show any more of this until it's actually installed. So this will probably be the end of this one. Hopefully I can get it wrapped up today. And the rail, I gotta jump over to the rail. So the rail I got welded up. I'm not gonna grind it because this really is annoying as can be to grind that. T-rail, I can get the flat side easy, but the rest I just don't want to fight. I think I'm gonna be able to add a bridge here to strengthen it. It did curve a bit. At first I wasn't gonna use it and try to redo it. But actually I think it'll be fine. Those arms that pull these up, they've got a lot of play in them. I don't think it's gonna care if it's got a little bit of style. All right, hopefully I can wrap this up, get that thing in a couple of weeks. I need someone to come over and get the lift. It's 16 foot ceiling, spancrete, so we need a hammer drill and anchors, blah, blah, blah. So it'll be a little tedious to install, but I'm gonna call that one done for now. Well, I wasn't gonna do any more video on this, but I'll do one more. So I managed to get most of this together myself. I was kind of surprised. I got the chains mounted, all but one link I managed to get connected and redone. And then it seems to work really well. The travel is more than I thought it was going to be. I didn't measure it, but it's definitely past 10 feet. I got to limit the travel actually because it'll collide at both ends. So it's got full travel, so now I should be done with videoing this until it's actually installed and done. But I'm happy to be done with this part of the project. GoPro, stop recording.